Well, it's a crummy day, as you can tell in the background. It is pouring rain today, so I can't be on the build site. So what I thought I would do was bring all 15 rafters back to my house and my garage here, and I will cut all of the notches or the bird's mouth on each end of the rafters. So I've got my plan laid out. I know exactly what my distance is between the top plate on both sides, the left and the right sides. And I've got my plan laid out right here, so I should be able to just follow, because I've followed everything that I have had on my plan in SketchUp. It's been down to absolutely perfect. So it should be no different now if I want to cut those here in the shop. Now, I know that you can go to the site, we'll, line up the front and the back wall, make those absolutely plumb. We're going to do that. And I could just, lift the rafter up and put it on one side. I can show you how to do it. That's a way to actually determine this bird's mouth section to be able to cut out. But I've got the beauty of a plan and the luxury of a plan here that I can just take that and cut that out here in the shop while I can't be working on site because of all of that nasty stuff. Okay, so let's I'll show you what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do, come to this end, and I've got to cut and then you can see I've written upper end. So this is going to be the upper end, and so we've got to take this angle and angle it that way, the 5 degrees, or actually 4.9 degrees. That's the pitch of the roof. So we're going to angle that 4.9, almost 5 right there. Cut this off first, and then we'll work off of this measurement. Here we go. All right, so I've got printed out my my model here, and I'm actually working on this end right here. But I'm not going to work on this guy because he's different than the last one as well, because of it sitting on this end wall right here, which will have to be worked out when we're on site. So I'm working on the other 13 that are in the middle here. So specifically I'm working on this end. And we've already just cut that end off. And now we're going to, and this is a 90 degree, this little angle right here, that's 90 degrees. And so now I'm going to go back the distance to where it intersects with the back side of the top plate. And because I want 4.5, right up front, I don't know if I'm getting all that. I want 4.5 inches from the front edge of the top plate out to that corner, which leaves me 3.5 here. So what I've done is I've taken and I've set up, so 3.5 plus 4.5, 8 inches. So you come over and you put this right on the edge, and that gives me my 90 right there, and then I'll just slide it back right onto the edge, right onto the corner right there. And then I'll mark, now I've got that set up already at 8 inches. Slide it back, we're right on the angle stays exactly the same. Draw it all the way up to the end here, and that's my 8 inches. That gives me, right there, that little dot right there, if we look at it here, that gives me 4.5 inches to there, 3.5 inches for the top plate. Then grab the speed square, come over, put your speed square right at your angle, and where it dissects the line, that little point right there at the end, that's my 8 inches, draw a line back this way. Now everything is squared up, and that is the piece we've got to cut out right there. It gives us a pretty good cut. I was a little worried about the jig saw because the blade likes to bend a lot and get floppy, but actually looking at it, it doesn't look too bad. Try to do as much as I can with the circular saw, but not too bad. All right, so now let's talk about the other end. This end, pretty straightforward, pretty easy. 2 cuts, that way and that way. But down here, when it's off on the low side, there's a lot going on. So let's see if I can walk you through it. Gonna need a couple of different rulers. I don't do everything with just a speed square. I think some people can and do just fine with that, but I'm not going to. Anyway, what we have to maintain is this distance right here, because this is going to be sitting on the top plate. So we need to maintain this distance right here. So whenever I measure it, let's get on, if you like centimeters or millimeters you can, but I'm just going to stick with inches, and I'm right at, what is that, 7/8? 7/8 of an inch right there in. So I have to come down into this end and come up 7/8 of an inch. Now, one thing that I knew from this point, from that point right there to this point, that is the width of the bottom plate on each end. It's the width at the top. So if we look at the model here on paper, it's this width right here, from that corner to that corner, from that corner to that corner, and I've got it marked out right there. It's 7 feet 10 and 5/16. So if I stay 7 feet 10 and 5/16 all the way down, my walls will square up and run parallel to one another. Absolutely. So I know I've got to come up 7/8 of an inch. First I have to mark where that is and do my angle, right? So I came out to the 7 feet 10 and 5/16, marked my spot, and then turned it to my 5 degrees and marked a line right there. And then I knew I had to come up 7/8 of an inch. So I put that along that line, I put it at 7/8 and marked where the top of that is. So what I did next was I needed the width of the top plate, which is 3.5 inches. So I came perpendicular to that line over 3.5 inches from this point right here, perpendicular to that line, 3.5 inches. And actually on the speed square, if you put it at your degree angle, if you go to that mark right there, that is your common 2x4 width right there, that little mark right there. So all I had to do is come over and put that mark right with my other line that's going right there. Make sure I maintain my angle. I'm on the 5. I'm on that mark with that line, and then all I had to do was draw a line. Now there is, those two lines right there are the top plate of the low end side. Then I just had to bring a perpendicular line up that distance, and we're good to go. Now the last thing I have to do is, because I have a 4.5 inch overhang on this end, well, what do you think? I'm going to have a 4.5 inch overhang on this end. So all I did was just take this, stick it at 4.5 inches, just like that, run it right on that line, 4.5 inches, and voila, there's my spot. I didn't quite do it that way. What I did was I ran it off of this one, marked it right there. That was my 4.5 inches, and I came over to that spot, pulled it down 5 degrees, and up we go, and there it is. So there, that's how we arrived at this end. So now, a lot going on this end, I get it. A little bit of math that's happening. So we'll have to cut out, we'll cut out this section right here, all the way down to there, and then I'm going to extend this line straight out to there. And that, because when the rafter is sitting up, you know, on the top plates, and I'm up at my 5 degree or my 4.9 degree, that end is perpendicular to the ground. Come down here, we Raise it up our 5 degrees, roughly, right? I'm doing this roughly. That now is perpendicular to the ground, and the line that I'm going to bring across here, I'm going to bring this across and cut that out all the way to there. That's parallel to the ground, so that's going to be my soffit. So I have a front one and a rear soffit. Let's cut it out. So let me show you what I did. So you saw the cuts. Came in, and I can only go so far because I don't want to run past my line. I'm just anal like that. So with the circular saw, I can only go so deep. And then that one, and then I cut off the end, and then I came in and cut this end, right? All the way through. And then with the jig, cleaned up this one, cleaned up that one, and then I came and made 2 more little cuts, because it's going to be real hard to get in to this and cut that line right there. So just notch out a couple, and I'm going to take the chisel and we'll just chisel those out. That way I can get my jigsaw blade in, and now we'll be able to cut that angle. That's how you do it. One more. Clean that up a little bit. All right, so now I have a pretty easy notch that I can work with and get my blade in, and we'll be able to cut the rest of this line. There we go. Not too bad. That'll work. So hopefully you found this video helpful, and you're able to, this is just a method of my way of cutting out and figuring out bird's mouth. I know there's a bunch of different methods out there, and there's some really good videos out there by other people that do this. But this is just my method on how to do it, and so hopefully it helped you, and maybe it was easy for you. But now I get to make 14 more of these. Yeah, that took a little bit of time, but we're gonna make 14 more of these. So I gotta get to work. All right, we'll see you.